this whole project by saying, who uses catapults anymore? My catapult definitely can't be used for anything. It kind of fell apart the second we were done with it. But that's more to come later. Hi, my name is Sandy Dubridge, and I teach chemistry and physics at St. Louis High School. Now, my partner Michelle and I had an amazing time doing this project. We learned a lot about each other, we had a lot of laughs. To start off the whole project, we used the synchronous chat function on Angel to discuss different ways we thought might work to build a tower. We started off by brainstorming some different pros, cons, blueprint ideas, different things that we thought would help build a sturdy tower. Then we would step away from the computer, attempt to build our own tower, and then go back and describe what the tower looked like. Our first attempt kind of failed miserably. My tower had a whopping height of about 16 inches, and within 2 minutes of the dog coming over to sniff it, it was toast. The fact that we were able to get instant feedback from each other worked very well. Our second tower attempt ended up being 49 inches tall, which was pretty cool. I took a picture of it with my digital camera, and you can see it here. The problem came trying to describe what my tower looked like to Michelle. I couldn't upload my picture. I had a very difficult time describing how I had built the base. What kind of side supports did I use? It was hard. Although the instant feedback was a positive, it really took a lot of creativity and a lot of thought to try to describe these things without using pictures. Another serious problem we encountered was trying to type everything out. There were so many times throughout this project that I thought, you know what, if I just call her and talk to her, this will be so much easier. It's hard to type as fast as I was thinking. So as far as the flow of the conversation, it was a little rough, but we eventually got to where we needed to be. I decided to take this whole concept and apply it to my classroom. I figured, what good does it do me just to sit here and try this at home? I want to implement this in my classroom, see what happens. Normally this time of year, we have a classroom debate during my electricity unit as to what we think is better, electric cars versus gasoline-powered cars. Everyone's allowed to speak, and the students usually get into some pretty good discussions. But I decided to switch it up. Why not try this as a synchronous chat using MSN? So we gave it an attempt, we went to the computer lab, and we tried it. It didn't work as well as I had anticipated, but we tried it, and that was good. At first the students were very excited. We got a lot of good information out right away, but then the whole thing kind of de-evolved to, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Are you going to the game? Chatting for my students tends to be more of a social outlet, so using this in an educational outlet was very new and different to them. But we tried it, so I'm happy with that. The second part of the project that Michelle and I worked on was the asynchronous chat function through building a catapult. Like I said at the beginning of my video, this was a very frustrating, challenging part of the project. I attempted to build my catapult with toothpicks, but every time I would use the rubber band to pull the arm back up, all those toothpicks would just snap and I couldn't get anything out of it. So I decided to scrap the toothpick idea and go with pencils. The nice thing about using this blogging that Michelle and I encountered was that we could spend 3 or 4 days thinking about what would work, making trials, talking to each other. One problem we did encounter with the asynchronous chatting was that I would throw an idea out there and want to test it and get right back to it as soon as possible, but maybe Michelle was out of town for that evening. So again, the flow was very disruptive. It was nice to be able to leave it and come back to it, but the flow never got to be a steady thing. We were always kind of catching each other at weird times or posting a message and leaving it alone for 2 or 3 days. The other thing too was that on the positive side, we were able to post pictures on Ning, we were able to post videos on Ning, and it really reduced the amount of creativity we had to have as far as describing what we were trying to build, what we were trying to make, how we were trying to get it to go. At first, I really thought that this was a positive thing. Hey, I can upload my video and I don't have to describe it. But then I thought about that. I really encouraged creativity and thinking inside of my classroom. By being able to just post this video, I didn't have to think about anything. I didn't have to be super creative. I could just say, hey, Michelle, my video's on here, check it out. It had its ups and its downs. So once again, I wanted to take this whole concept of asynchronous chat back to my classroom. We then read an article about how sound waves are interrupting the whale migration patterns in the ocean. I set up all my students on a blog, and they could read the article and knew that they had a 3-day period to respond to an idea of their own, and then they had to make 2 responses to other students' ideas. This asynchronous chat worked very well. My kids loved it. It wasn't forcing them to participate during the class period. They could read the article on their own time. They could think about what they wanted to say. They could pull in outside research from other sources. And it really worked well in my classroom. I really hope to continue to use this for the rest of my career. This was a huge benefit, and kudos to asynchronous chat. Alright, finally, the third event that Michelle and I worked on was the egg drop. You can see our 3 different egg drop containers here. We got on an 8-foot ladder. Once we were at the top of this 8-foot ladder, we dropped the different egg containers. Now, although all of them were kind of a disaster and the egg broke in all of them, some benefits I got out of doing this face-to-face session were that it was so much easier to brainstorm together. We both brought our materials to the table. We could come up with ideas. We could scrap it right away if we felt like it wasn't going to work. We could laugh, we could talk, we could interact. It was by far my favorite experience of this project. It was great to get to know somebody new in my class and to have an experience that I probably wouldn't have had before. Believe it or not, I don't spend my weekends dropping eggs off of ladders. But I also then took this same project back to my classroom. I put the students in groups of 2, and I wanted to see, given the materials that I had, could they build a container that would work? They loved this project because they could build the container, brainstorm right there at the table together, and decide, no, this isn't going to work, quick, let's scrap it. The students definitely got the most out of the face-to-face participation. Although the internet stuff that I had done was cool and fun and different, being able to actually touch it and to hold it and to brainstorm ideas together was by far the best part of their 3 sets of projects. They also scored the best on their assessments of the face-to-face and the hands-on projects. Although talking online was cool and posting things online was cool, when it came back to retention of information, it wasn't there. By actually touching the carton, they could then re-describe to me ideas about force, momentum, gravity, free fall. They really understood those concepts. So I would have to say, for my inquiry, the face-to-face project was definitely most beneficial to my students. They didn't really have to put a lot of time or effort describing what their box looked like because they could see it, they could look at it. Maybe this is a disadvantage, maybe this is an advantage because of their assessment scores. I'm not exactly sure. But I will say this project has been very beneficial. It has helped me see many different avenues of the internet and how to use technology. I very much enjoyed this project. My kids definitely enjoyed dropping eggs on each other. That seemed to be a highlight. And I implemented some new technologies in my classroom that I don't normally use. So, this project was a big 2 thumbs up for me. I loved working on it, and I really enjoyed getting new information for my classroom.